sisters out here? Women out here today? I'm just...
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Now, so we're going to read this final thing. May Allah Ta'ala bless you all with, and increase your skills of good on the day of judgment. I'm going to read something to you from one of our Mashaykh. He's one of our scholars in Medina, as Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr. And he is the son of Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad al-Badr. May Allah Ta'ala preserve them both. And he mentions a hadith, and this hadith can be found in Sahih Muslim, hadith number 2576. The Shaykh says, أيها المؤمنون عباد الله وأيها الأخوات المؤمنات. He says, O believing slaves of Allah and O believing female slaves of Allah. إليكم قصة عجيبة عظيمة. So I'm going to mention to you an amazing, great story that has in it a tremendous lesson. He said, إنها قصة امرأة من أهل الجنة. He says, it is the story of a woman from the inhabitants of paradise. This is a story of a woman from the inhabitants of paradise, and this hadith has been narrated by al-Bukhari and Muslim. And we mentioned to you where you can find it in Muslim. This hadith is from Ata ibn Abi Rabah. He said, قال لي ابن عباس ألا أريك امرأة من أهل الجنة. Ata ibn Abi Rabah, he said, Ibn Abbaas said to me, shall I not show you a woman from the inhabitants of paradise? قلت بلى. I said, of course. قال هذه امرأة السوداء. He said, that black woman right there. That she was what? From the inhabitants of paradise. This is something that she knew while she was alive. He said, أتت نبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت إني أسرع وإني أتكشف فادعوا الله لي. He said she went to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and she said, verily I have fits of epilepsy. And the scholars, they explain that this can either mean that she had the physical disease of epilepsy, or she was afflicted by a jinn that made her have fits of epilepsy. And we see this illness, right? That causes a person to shake in a violent manner. She said, and when I shake, I become uncovered. She says, so supplicate to Allah for me. He said, in shitti sabarti walakil jannah. He said, if you want, you can be patient, and paradise is yours. Well, in shitti da'awtu Allah and yu'afiq. And if you want, I'll pray to Allah to cure you. Qalat asbir. She said, I'm going to be patient. She said, وَإِنِّي أَتَكَشَّفُ فَادْعُوا اللَّهَ لِي. She said, but I become uncovered, so supplicate to Allah that I do not become uncovered. So he prayed to Allah Azza wa Jal for her not to become uncovered. The Sheikh, he said, O believing men, O believing women, we need you to ponder over this story of this great woman. This woman who had truthful iman. Her iman was truthful. It was real faith. And this woman who was pure, she had deen and she had haya, shyness. Says she was afflicted with a severe trial, a severe calamity. that she would have fits of epilepsy and it would cause her to shake in a violent manner. And she was harmed by this. So she came to the Prophet ﷺ asking him to make dua to Allah for her, that she would be cured from that which harmed her and to raise this calamity away from her. But he directed her to something that was better than that. He showed her something that was better than her being cured from this disease. Something that was greater than that. And that was for her to be patient with this severe trial, and her end result will be what? Paradise. And what did she choose, Yakhwan? She chose the good end result of paradise. And so she was given the promise of paradise by the guarantee of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salam. He guaranteed her paradise. Naam. So she chose to be patient and to go to paradise. May Allah Ta'ala be pleased with her. The Shaykh, he said, her shaking was so violent. It wasn't an easy shaking. It was so violent that her clothes would come off. Imagine how much a person has to shake in order for their clothes to come off. But she would shake so much that she would become uncovered. Naam. He said, so she was going to be patient with what? She could be patient with something, and there was something that she could not be patient with. She could be patient with shaking so violently that her clothes would come off. But she could not be patient with being uncovered. That was the only thing. She was not going to be patient with being uncovered. And the Shaykh, he said, although, was she to blame for becoming uncovered? She wasn't to blame. Why? Because of the hadith, رُفِعَ قَلَمْ عَنْ ثَلَاثَةٍ, that the pen is lifted from three people, and from them is al-majnoon al-maghlub ala aqlihi hatta yufiq, the one who is insane, who loses their mental capacity until they are cured. So she was not even to blame for becoming uncovered. But despite being blameless, she was not going to be patient for being uncovered. Although she was excused for this and there was no sin upon her, but she would not be patient with that. And she was not pleased with being uncovered. And this was because she was severely shy. Her shyness was too great to allow her to become uncovered. And her faith was too strong. Naam. He said, so she said, Inni atakashafu, verily I become uncovered. And she was not going to be patient with that, although it was outside of her choice. So therefore the Messenger of Allah, he prayed to Allah Ta'ala that she would not become uncovered, and she never came uncovered after that. The Shaykh, he said, this is a dua that every Muslim needs to know. Now, he said, how much do the Muslim woman need this dua that this woman, that was made for her? That they need to ask Allah Ta'ala to protect them from becoming uncovered. He said, Allahumma istur uratina wa amin ru'atina. Oh Allah, save our honor and remove the fear and keep us safe. Allahumma ustur uratina wa amin ru'atina. Oh Allah, save our honor and remove the fear and keep us safe. He said, so this, he said, look at this great woman who was too shy to become uncovered, although she was blameless. He said, how about the woman who become uncovered by choice? How about the woman who they take their clothes off and they become uncovered and they don't think twice about it? He said, Allah Ta'ala, he gave a command. In Surah Ahzab, verse number 59, Ya ayyuhan nabi, kulli azwajik wa binatik wa nisa'il mu'minin yudnina alayhin min jalabibihinna dhalika adna an yu'rafna. He said, say, O Prophet, say to your wives and to your daughters and to the women of the believers that they should cover themselves with their jalabib, their garments. This is better for them, so they will be known and they will not be harmed, and verily Allah is the all-forgiving, the most merciful. He says, so this great woman from the inhabitants of paradise, she hated to become uncovered. with a severe hate. He said, but how many women today, they uncover themselves, they reveal themselves, and they don't hate it at all. He said, these women who do it today, who uncover themselves today by choice, they also have epilepsy. He says it's a different type. It's a different type of epilepsy. He said they have epilepsy of following their desires and epilepsy of weak iman and following their lust. He says because they'll uncover themselves and they never think for 1 minute, is my Lord pleased with me or is he angry with me right now? And they'll do it without giving it a second thought. And we see, ya akhwa wa akhawat, that unfortunately, especially in 215, shyness is something which is a thing of the past with many people. Shyness has gone out the window. When you find the people interacting, the men and women commingling on the internet, and the women showing themselves on the internet, shyness is something which people have forgotten about. Although the Messenger of Allah, he said, al-haya min al-iman, wal-iman fil jannah. He said shyness is from iman, and iman is where? Iman is in paradise. This hadith is from Ibn Majah. And he said that lewdness is not putting anything except that it makes it ugly. And shyness is not putting anything except that it beautifies it. And he said, al-haya la ya'ti illa bi khair. That shyness does not bring about anything except for good. And we know that the Sahaba, ya akhwan, they gave us the example. The Salaf, right? We on the way of the Salaf, alhamdulillah. The Salaf gave us an example of how to be shy from the men and the women. As comes in the narration from Abdullah ibn Umar, that the Messenger of Allah, he passed by a man from the Ansar. And his friend, his brother, was blaming him for being shy. He was blaming him, why are you being shy? This is a man. And the Messenger of Allah said, Da'ahu fa inna al-haya min al-iman. He said, leave him alone. Shyness is from iman. Let this man be shy. Being shy is a manly trait. Now we're going to mention some benefits of being shy and some of the detriments of not being shy. As we know that the Messenger of Allah, he said, Inna mimma adraka al-nas min kalam al-nabuwwati al-ula. Verily from that which has reached the people from the first message of prophethood, things that the old prophets used to tell their people. In lam tastahi fasna' ma shi'ta. If you feel no shyness, then do whatever you want to do. And the ulama explained that when a person is not shy, he's going to do anything. He's going to do anything. Shyness, ya akhwan wa akhawat, will keep us from doing sins. Al-Jarrah ibn Abdullah al-Hakimi, he said, I left off sinning for 40 years because I was too shy to do so. He said, for 40 years I didn't sin because I was too embarrassed, too shy to sin. And then after that, then the piety kicked in. But first he didn't sin. Why? He was too embarrassed to sin. And then after that, piety kicked in. Naam. So here comes the question, ya akhwan. In being shy, who should we be shy from? Okay? Who else? Anybody else? We want to mention a number of different ways to be shy. The first is to be shy from Allah Azza wa Jal. As the Messenger of Allah, he said, I advise you, and we find this usika, when you find this, akhwan, it's a command. It's not really an advice like you have a choice. It's a command. I command you to be shy from Allah Azza wa Jal, just as you would be shy from a righteous man. He explains this, right? Be shy from Allah just as you would be shy from a righteous man. Ibn Jarir, the famous scholar of tafsir, he says this advice or this command is comprehensive and concise and crystal clear. He said because even if you find an evil person, a sinner, who does evil. He said he does not want to do it while righteous people are watching him. An evil person who likes to sin, he doesn't want to sin in front of righteous people. He said, then you have to keep in mind that Allah Ta'ala is observing all of the actions of the creation. He said, so therefore, if a person is too shy for a righteous person to see him doing a sin, then he has to be more shy in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, that Allah Ta'ala will see the person doing a sin. As Al-Qahtani, he said in his Nuniyya, he said something very important, ya akhwan, especially with the internet, right? He said, when you are all alone in the darkness and your soul begins to whisper to you to transgress, he said, then be shy and remember your Lord and say to your soul, verily the one who created the darkness can still see me. Even when it's dark, remind yourself that the one who created the darkness can still see me. Right? Darkness is a creation from Allah Ta'ala. Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, he explained what does it mean to be shy from Allah Ta'ala. He says shyness from Allah in its true form is to tahfaz ra'sak wa ma wa'a, that you preserve your head and what you put in it, that you preserve your stomach and what you fill it with, and that you remember death. He said, and whoever wants the next life, he leaves off the glamour of this life. And whoever has done this, then he has been shy from Allah in his proper manner. He said, preserve your head. What's on the head, ya akhwan? Eyes, nose, tongue, ears. So to preserve the head is to preserve what you look at, preserve what you listen to, preserve what you say. Ibn Rajab, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon him, he said one of the ways to be shy from Allah Azza wa Jal is to remember the favors of Allah Ta'ala. Right? What does that mean? We mentioned to be grateful for a favor is to do what, ya akhwan? What does it mean to show gratitude for a favor that you have been given by Allah Ta'ala? Okay. Now, that first that you actually thank him for it, for that favor, and then you use that favor in a way that he is pleased with. So when you find a lot of people that say, yeah, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. Can we really say that? If we're grateful for our eyes, can we say we only use our eyes for the halal? We only use our ears for the halal? We don't look at anything haram because we're grateful for our eyes? That's a big statement to make. Now, next, ya akhwan, after we are shy from Allah Ta'ala, may Allah make me and you shy from him. Who do you think, who else do we have to be shy from? The malaika, ya akhwan. The angels. Sheikh makes a tremendous point, ya akhwan. The Messenger of Allah salam, he said, Man akal al-basr wa thum. He said, whoever eats onions or garlic, then let him not come close to this masjid of ours, because verily the angels are harmed by what the son of Adam is harmed with. Right? So if a person eats raw onions or raw garlic and it has a smell, and as a footnote, Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, he said, and even more so, cigarettes. He said you find some people and they smoke right outside the masjid, and they come inside the masjid with smoke breath. He said, and then they say, they recite the al-Fatiha. He said, you reciting the al-Fatiha, this is the best surah in the Quran. He said, to recite it with smoke breath is disrespectful. He said, if you know the meaning of what you're reciting, you would never recite that with smoke breath. If you knew the words that were coming out of your mouth, you wouldn't do it with smoke breath. He said, so it's upon you to stop smoking, and if you can't, at least be respectful and brush your teeth. Don't recite the book of Allah Ta'ala with smoke breath. Disrespectful. Now, but listen to what Ibn al-Qayyim said, Ya Akhwan. SubhanAllah. Allah Ta'ala, Ya Akhwan, He says in Surah Al-Infitar, verses 10 to 12, He says, وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Right? Pay attention to this ayah, Akhwan. This is, Allah Ta'ala is telling us this for a reason, right? He says, verily there are over you guardians, right? Kiraman, they are noble and honorable. And they are scribes, and they know that what you do. He said, so Ibn al-Qayyim mentions that Allah Ta'ala told you that these angels are honorable, so you need to honor them. You need to honor them. He says, so think about it, right? If the angels are harmed by smoke and onions and garlic, just like people are harmed by that, they're also harmed by watching us commit sins. That irritates the angels. Just like a person will be irritated by watching us commit sins. So for the angels that have to watch us sin, you're irritating them by making them watch that. Because they're the scribes, they're writing down everything we do. And they have to watch us do this ma'asiyah. He said, and because they're irritated, it doesn't stop there. He says, so if a slave angers and harms or irritates an angel by any type of sin or oppression or lewdness, then the angels make dua against them. And they say, La jazakallahu khair. They say, may Allah not reward you with good. The angels make dua against that person when that person irritates them by sinning. Just like if that person does good, then they make dua for that person. He said, Ibn al-Qayyim said, for this reason, some of the Sahaba would say, verily inna ma'akum man la yufariqukum. Verily there is with you those who are never going to leave your side. So be shy of them and honor them. He said, meaning be shy in front of them, these noble scribes who are honorable. And don't let them see anything from you that you should be too shy to do. Listen to what he said, Akhwan, and this is the truth, right? He said, because you'll find a person, a man, who he may do the same sin you're doing, but if you do it in front of him, you're going to irritate him, right? You may find a person who he may listen to music when he's all by himself, right? He may get weak and listen to music. But if you're riding in a car with him and you turn on the tune, he's going to be upset. Like, you have the audacity to play music in the car while I'm in the car with you? You think I am? And he may, that could be his favorite song. But it's just you showing me no respect by playing music in front of me. Ain't that right? That's offensive. You ride in a car with somebody, he just starts smoking. Like, what do you think I am? You think I smoke? He says, so how about the angels who don't do these sins? If the person who does the same sin will be irritated by it, what about the angels who don't do any sins at all? It irritates them, Ya Akhwan. Something we have to think about. That before we sin, angels are right beside us watching everything we do. Now, if you were to, think about it, Ya Akhwan. If you were to do a sin, may Allah Ta'ala save me and you from our sins. Think about it. If a person was on his computer at the internet looking at something haram, and the wind hit that door, you would have a heart attack. If you thought your wife walked in behind you, you would have a heart attack. Your kid or the sheikh so-and-so behind you, probably pass out. True, right? Well, the angels are right there looking at you. And your Lord Azza wa Jalla is looking at us. But, as one of the Salaf said, don't make Allah the most insignificant one watching you. Meaning that when you're alone, you do whatever. Don't make Allah the most insignificant one watching you. we also have to be shy of others. Listen to the example, Ya Akhwan, of the Salaf. And I want someone to tell me why he did this. We're speaking about the great Sahaba, Ali ibn Abi Talib. May Allah Ta'ala be pleased with him. He wanted to ask a question to the Messenger of Allah alayhi salam about pre-seminal sperm fluid. You know, when a man and his wife are hugging, and you know, pre-seminal sperm fluid comes out. But he was too shy to ask the question, so he went and told Miqdad al-Aswad. He said, "You go ask the question." Why didn't you want to ask the question, Akhwan? Why was he too shy to ask the question?
He was too shy because at the end of the day, that was Rasulullah's daughter.
Ahsantum. That was his daughter. He's not going to go ask the father if you have pre-seminal sperm, because that's his daughter. So he was too shy to do that. So he told Miqdad, "You go ask this question." And Miqdad asked the question. He told him, "Wash off your private area and make wudu." See how manners, Akhwan. You gotta have manners with people, Now, so we have being shy in front of Allah, being shy in front of the angels, being shy in front of people. Who else is left? One person left that you have to be shy in front of. Yourself. Got to be shy in front of yourself, Akhwan. Asfahani, may Allah have much upon him, he said, the person is going to be shy in front of those he has a lot of respect for, those he exalts, those he has a lot of respect for. Now, he said, so you won't find a person being shy in front of an animal, right? A person doing something haram, a cat walks by, he doesn't, no, that's a cat, He said, or from children, a baby who doesn't know, okay, that's Michael Jackson. The baby doesn't know who that is. He's not going to be shy from the baby, right? Or from those people that don't know right from wrong. He says, and he's going to be more shy from a scholar than he's going to be from a jahil, than an ignorant person. He's going to be more shy from a group than from one person. He said, so the one who is shy in front of the people and he is not shy in front of himself, then he has a low opinion of himself. He has no self-worth at all. He thinks he's nothing because he's not shy in front of himself. He says, and the one who has no shyness in front of Allah Ta'ala, then he doesn't actually know that Allah Ta'ala is watching him. He doesn't know this. Sheikh Fawzan Ya Akhwan, he mentions about the 6 pillars of faith, and the last one being what? What's number 5, Belief in the Day of Judgment. Sheikh Fawzan says there's no benefit in believing in the Day of Judgment if you don't prepare yourself for it. So what's the benefit? You say, yeah, I believe in the Day of Judgment. Okay, are you doing something for it? You say that you believe that there's a hellfire and you don't do anything to get away from it. You believe there's a paradise and you're not doing anything to get to it. Nah. So the person actually has to know that Allah Ta'ala is watching him and turn that knowledge into action, okay? Then we're going to mention some examples of shyness of the Salaf, Ya Akhwan. Some more examples, all right? And we want for the women to reflect upon their shyness around men, and for the brothers to reflect upon their shyness around the women. And this includes the internet, Ya Akhwan. The internet. Now, SubhanAllah. Our mother, Aisha, may Allah Ta'ala be pleased with her, the daughter of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, she said, كنت أدخل بيتي الذي دفن فيه رسول الله. She said, I used to enter the home or the room in which the Messenger of Allah was buried in. You know, the Messenger of Allah was buried in her room, right? She said, so I would enter the room that he was buried in. And her father was also buried right beside him. She said, so I would take off my hijab and I would say, it's only my father and my husband. So, and they were buried there, Ya Akhwan. They were not alive. The Messenger of Allah buried her father, buried right beside him. So she would go in the room, she would take off her hijab. She said, but when Umar was buried with them, she said, I swear by Allah, I never entered that room except that my garment was pulled tightly over me. Being shy of Umar. Umar was not alive, ya akhwan. He was deceased, but she was too shy to walk around him uncovered, although he was deceased, ya akhwan. That's shyness, ya akhwan. Shy around a man who already passed away. Not only were the Salaf, may Allah Ta'ala be pleased with them, shy around people who were deceased, they were shy during their own death. They were shy when they were dead. Like Fatima, the daughter of the Messenger of Allah salam, may Allah be pleased with her, she said to Asma, she said, verily I hate that which is done with the women. When they put meaning that when the women die and you have to wash the body and wrap them, she said they throw a garment around the woman and you can see the figure from the garment. Right when you wash the body, you can see the figure. She said, I hate that. Asma said, O daughter of the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salam, shall I not show you something which I saw in Ethiopia? And she got some wet leaves and wrapped the wet leaves around her and then put a garment around her and the figure couldn't be shown. And Fatima said, Ma ahsanu hadha. Ma ahsana hadha. How wonderful is this? How beautiful is this? She said, so now you can tell the woman from the men. Meaning you can tell the woman, meaning because the woman you can't see her shape at all. And she said, when I die, I want you and Ali to wash me and don't let anyone enter upon me. And then wrap me like this. It's a woman, ya akhwan. She was going to be deceased, but she didn't want anyone to see her figure when she was dead. That's being shy, ya akhwan. Now, Imam al-Nawawi, he said it is highly recommended that when you shroud the woman, that you put a sheet around her so the figure cannot be shown, that you carry her in a casket to the burial ground. That the woman should be carried in a casket right before she gets to the hole so no one can see her shape like that. This is being shy, ya akhwan, for people who are already deceased. Sheikh Albani, he said, look at this woman who was a part of the Prophet Muhammad Islam. She was a part of him, his daughter. Look how shy she was that she did not want her figure to be shown when she was deceased. He said, no doubt, this is a great form of shyness. Now, he said, so how about the Muslim woman today and they wear tight clothes while they're alive? She didn't want to show her figure when she was dead. How about the woman who wore tight clothes while they're alive? Akhwan, the Salaf, they were shy when they were asleep. Shy when they were asleep. Muhammad ibn Sirin, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon him, he said, I never went to a woman while I was asleep or awake except Abdullah, meaning his wife. He said, and surely when I'm asleep and I see a woman in my dream and I know it's not my wife, I lower my gaze. He was asleep. I see a woman when I'm asleep, not my wife, I look down. I lower my gaze. And you know why people can do this when they sleep? Because they do it when they're awake. Because they do it when they're awake. Now, but unfortunately, ya akhwan akhwat, now we find people and they put everything on Instagram. Now, and the scholars, ya akhwan, they mentioned that the woman should not even post a picture of herself veiled on the internet. A woman should not even put a picture of herself in niqab on Facebook or Instagram. What's the benefit of doing that? What's the benefit of doing that? Right? But you find now everybody's on Instagram. Everybody's on Facebook. And some of the... When I spoke to one brother from another country, and he was mentioning how, well, we find that the women here do it too. He was saying that a lot of the women, that they have a reason for uncovering. That they uncover on purpose before they get married. You know why? They trying to show off their beauty so somebody will try to marry them. So this is the rationale that shaitan comes with. If you cover everything up, nobody's going to know how good you look. Uncover, show everything, then a man will try to marry you, and then later on you can cover up. So this is one of the shubahat that the people bring you. That's easily refuted, ya ikhwan, as the ulama, they bring a tremendous example of how a woman can cover up and get the best man in the dunya, right? A woman can cover up, because you have to understand, ya ikhwan, that who is in control of the hearts of these men? Allah Ta'ala. Who knows who these men are at? Allah Ta'ala. He's the one that can bring him to you. So they mentioned the example of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, right? And we know the story, right? In Surah Al-Qasas, that there were a group of men who were watering their animals, right? So there were two women who they wanted to water their animals, but they couldn't do so. Why? Because there were men there, and they didn't mix with the men. They stood in the back, and they would not mix with the men to water their animals. So when Musa alayhi salam saw them, and Musa, keep in mind, ya ikhwan, was the third best man Allah Ta'ala ever created, right? The ulama say only two prophets better than him. Well, who? Prophet alayhi salam and Ibrahim alayhi salam. They say he was number 3, according to Ibn Kathir, right? So when he saw them and they couldn't water their animals, he went and watered the animals for them. And then he mentions فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُنَا تَمْشِي عَلَى إِحْدِحْيَاهِ. So one of them came towards him walking in shyness. That she came to him walking in shyness, and she told him that her father wanted to give him a reward. And the ulama mentioned that because she was shy, her and her sister, and they stayed back and didn't mix with the men, then the father had Musa come to the home, and he did what? He married one of the daughters of Musa alayhi salam. And the ulama mentioned this was a result of Allah being pleased with her, not mixing with the man. She was shy and she held back, and so Allah Ta'ala rewarded her with one of the best men in the dunya, the one who spoke to Allah Ta'ala directly. So you don't have to compromise and expose yourself on Instagram and Facebook, because when you do that, you're going to get what you're fishing for. If you fish in a swamp, you're going to get the swamp thing. You're not going to get a good man. You can't expect that, ya ikhwan. There are some creepy brothers out here, right? And the women don't understand that, ya ikhwan. That's what the brother was speaking about, Abu Muhammad, that the women have to let the imams and the elders, because not just the imam, but the elders in the communities, do their jobs, right? And many times, and the brother was speaking the truth. You know, I can't count the number of times that a woman will come and say, brother, I need you to check this man out for me. And I know, not because I know the unseen, but because it's crystal clear. You've been talking to him for 3 months. Check him out for me. And I okay. Yeah, I checked him out. I wouldn't marry him. Oh, you're going to marry me anyway, right? Because you're already talking to him. You're already talking to him. Many of these brothers, Yaquan, and the brothers, they can say anything to the woman, and the woman will believe it, you know? But the men, we don't fall for that same type of game, you know? Nah. So another thing, Yaquan, we're going to end with this, is another doubt that they bring the woman, is they tell the Muslim woman, by wearing hijab, you're being what? Being oppressed. You're being downtrodden by wearing the hijab. It's too much. Why can't you be free? But you know what? They never say that to a nun. No one goes to Mother Teresa or the nuns and say you're being oppressed by wearing all that. They don't say that to them. So it's based upon they hate your religion. It's not because they want you to be free or they really think you're wearing too many clothes. It's not about that, Yaquan. Let me read to you something right quick. We know what nuns are, right? Nah, they wear something called a white kaf, and this is they have a garment that has a headpiece that includes a white cotton cap that covers the cheek and the neck. They also wear a black veil, and they have the veil and they drop the veil down if men come around, right? They have what they call the holy habit, which is a central piece of the garment, and it's a loose dress made of black fabric, and it's from the neck down to the ground. Not all. They have a belt made of wool that they have it around the waist. They have 2 sets of sleeves. One on the outside that they roll back up when they want to work, and they still have the one on the inside so their arms can be seen while they're working. Okay? He said they have an underskirt, and they're wearing 2 skirts, Shakhwan. 2 skirts. One on top, that's black, and one on the bottom, made of cotton. And they wear simple black shoes. And when they dress like that, that sister's pious. The nun is pious. But when you dress like that, you're oppressed. Muslim women's not walking around with 2 skirts and 2 sets of sleeves and a belt made of wool. But they're going to tell you you're oppressed. Why? Because it's about the deen, Yaquan. It's not about being oppressed. They don't want to see Muslim women covered. And in fact, Yaquan is worse than that. Today, if a Muslim woman wants to dress like a Muslim, she's oppressed. But a man can dress like a woman, he's okay. A 65-year-old man can say, I'm a woman today, and he gets a courage award. But a Muslim woman wants to put on niqab, and you're being oppressed. And we believe it. It's not about the deen, Yaquan. I mean, it's about the deen. It's not about you being oppressed. They hate Islam. Allah Ta'ala already told that they will never be pleased with you until you turn away from your religion. That's the bottom line. They don't care anything about you. They're going to keep at you until they can get you to uncover. You know, another thing, Yaquan, about, you know, for the people who are maybe some of the older brothers, you know, brothers maybe I relate to this. Maybe some of the younger brothers can't, but we're going to tell you so you'll be able to relate to it. You know, this thing here that they have in America, this freedom, is something new. It was like around 1915. Before 1915, the hemline was on the ground. Women didn't go around with skirts and dress like they do today. 1915 was when the hemline came off the ground. My parents, both of my parents, raised Christian. My father told me, he said that when he met my mother, he said they could never be alone together. So her father said, you never be alone with her until you marry her. Islam. So that's how the Christians used to do here in America, Yaquan. But now they say, you don't date before you marry, and it makes it seem like you're a criminal. You're going to marry him without dating? This is what everybody used to do in America. But as time goes by, people, they forget, and dating becomes normal. Now, and we're going to mention to you one last thing, Yaquan. It's, you know, there's a fa'idah in this, how the Muslim has to be careful from trying to imitate the kuffar. And it goes beyond imitating. It becomes to the point that we try to make them happy. And anything that they do that we think they'll be happy with, we try to do it. There was a special that was on YouTube, and Oprah was doing an interview with some Hasidic Jews. Right? We know Oprah, right? Everybody know Oprah? They didn't know who she was. She was in Brooklyn. And she said, do you know me? I don't know who you are. And she said, do you know Beyonce? They said, nope. She said, do you know Mickey Mouse? They said, nope. Do you know why they didn't know these people? They don't watch TV. She said they didn't have a TV in the house. And the only one that had a cell phone was the mother. They didn't have a TV, Yaquan. So they protect their own from this filth. Even living in America, Yaquan. But we think we have to engross ourselves in it to make them happy. But they're not going to let it in their home. They didn't know who Oprah was. Everybody know Oprah. You got people trying to be like and look like Beyonce. They didn't know who she was and didn't care. And the mother said, and our children don't date. Said our children don't date and they don't use the internet. See, and they say, and the men and the women are separated in the synagogue. Now the people are trying to tell us we oppressing the Muslim woman by separating them. They don't say that to the Jews. They don't say that to the Yahud. Nah. And he said, and they have their own buses, and they separated on the buses and at the wedding ceremonies. They separate their own. But they try to dictate what we do. That's one of the bottom line is that we don't care what they think. We're trying to please Allah Azza wa Jalla. Now, so just a reminder for myself and you, Afwan, that we want to try to keep up some of our shyness and our Islamic etiquette, because these people are going, every year is going to be something different. You know, like me as the older brother, when we was growing up, you would never, no man could have ever got on TV with a wig and say he was a woman. We would have threw that man in a lake. But now it's okay. So keep in mind that every year is going to be something different. If you follow them, you're going to go in that lizard hole for real. So we ask Allah Ta'ala to safeguard us from imitating the kuffar and trying to please them. May Allah Ta'ala make us shy from him in private and in public. Walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.